welcome to office hours. We'll get started just with some introductions. First, we have two new people on my team, the center engagement team. So I will have Eva turn on her camera, come off of mute, and just have her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Eva Coalition, Senior Manager for Center Engagement. I am not new to Vibrant, but new to this team, and I will be working with folks in the state of Ohio. So great to be here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eva. And then we also have Katie. We have a new Katie on the center engagement team, and I'll have her turn on her camera as well and introduce herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Katie Kranцevich. I'm a new center engagement manager. This is still my first week, so really getting my feet under me, but I will be taking over many of Nancy Hobbins' centers, so you should be hearing from me in the next few weeks. But I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm coming from the University of Pittsburgh. Really happy to get started and working with many of you over the next few weeks. Thanks for being.
Awesome. I'm excited that the center engagement team is continuing to grow and to have new teammates. Just want to pause for a moment to see if there are any other Vibrant staff that are new and has not had a chance to introduce themselves. No. All righty, then we will continue on with our agenda. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask and spotlight people, and there we go. I'm working it out. Okay. So now we're going to move on to our wellness moment. And Alicia is going to start us off.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Megan. I thought it would be a great idea for us to check in with each other. And it's always nice to see how we are spending our days and evenings and weekends. So what is your favorite activity to do in spring? Or what is an activity in spring that you're looking forward to doing? And we can put our answers in the chat. Love it. A lot coming in already. Gardening, nature walks. I just came from one myself over lunch. Definitely hiking, biking, hammock chair. Being outside in general. Seeing kayaking. Oh, what a great skill. Walking and hiking with my son. Spending time in the yard. Reading in the park. Oh, nice one, Devin. I haven't done that in a long time. Street festivals, fun. And thank you, Melanie, for actually coming up with this very good icebreaker. Fires on the beach. Adventurous. Outdoor sketching. Wow. My two kids are home from college. Yay. So nice to reconnect with family. Roller skating, so exciting. Moving the snow shovels to the back corner of the garage. That one seems satisfying. Gardening and walking with my dog. Love it. Pets can be so amazing to spend time with. Going to outdoors music venue at night. Fun. Spring cleaning. Great one. Outdoor shopping. Woo. Yeah, it makes me think of local finds and arts and crafts and baked goods, maybe farmers market. There's so many great activities here. Well, thank you all for sharing. Farm stands, very nice. And if you haven't chosen your own spring activity, there are plenty of here plenty here to inspire you. So I hope that you get to enjoy the better weather and enjoy the rest of this office hours.
Thanks so much. I appreciate getting a little glimpse of what people are doing with their days. So I really appreciate that. All right. Well, we will jump into getting our updates. So I'm going to pass it over to Monique to give us updates about comms and IT.
Hello, hello, hello. My updates today. Thank you, Megan. So, network messages provide official communications about 988 Lifeline. If you are not receiving these messages, please reach out to the communications@vibrant.org email address. All previous webinars can be viewed on the NRC webpage under webinars. Please stay tuned for the upcoming webinars. We have a Beyond Cultural Competency, Hispanic, Latinx community mental health, and we have the effects of long COVID on mental health, information and referral for 988 and the Disaster Distress Helpline Crisis Center. Also, if you are not already a member, please join the Lifeline Network Facebook group. And now the IT messages. So the Unified Platform, the first Friday of every month, we are still hosting and we'll be hosting a webinar series, Vibrant Emotional Health, Unified Platform, monthly updates and question and answer. During this webinar series, Vibrant Emotional Health will share an update on the progress of the Unified Platform's development and answer previously submitted questions, as well as any questions during the presentation. And again, all previous webinars can be viewed on the NRC webinar page. And last week's webinar with question and answer documents should be made available within the next week. Thank you. That's it for me, Megan.
Thanks so much, Monique. All right, so we'll pass it over to Devin from Center Engagement. We have some exciting news about onboarded centers.
Great, thanks, Megan. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to say we've had 2 more centers on board and go live since our last meeting. So first we had Avail Solutions in Tyler, Texas go live. They will be providing backup to the state of Texas. And then Mental Health Minnesota has recently gone live in the chat and text network. They are one of the first centers to apply solely to do chat and text. So a little bit of a different process for onboarding them than our call centers, but we are glad to have them on board. And that's it for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Devin, so much for all your hard work getting those centers onboarded and growing our network. Awesome. And now we'll pass it over to Shelley from Public Policy to give us some updates.
Thank you, Megan. So there's quite a few actions happening for this month, May. So I'm starting off with the federal, the FCC 988 outage notification proposal was due on May 8th. There were 14 submissions, and I can put the report that's on the page right now. I think they're reviewing those. So as we get more information on that, we can update everyone, and I'll add the link in the chat. The HHS Mental Health Summit happened on May 4th. And I'll add the press release from that. So Senator Becerra announced a new initiative for the HHS Mental Health Summit to strengthen and the access of mental health care. So really exciting news there. We can submit I'm going to add the link in the chat so everyone can review that. There was quite a few things like a roadmap and several other initiatives happening there. There's also the SAMHSA strategic plan relief draft that was also released earlier this week, and I can also add that link in the chat. Some state updates. So Alabama introduced a bill that would create a 988 System Care Act, and it will also require the Department of Mental Health to develop and coordinate and administer Alabama's crisis care system of care. But most importantly, the bill would create a statewide 988 subcharge. Right now, the range is from 98 cents to $3 to be imposed on the certain communication service contacts. So that's really exciting. And if anyone from Alabama is on the call, please, I'll put my email on the chat for ways that we can support you and help you kind of advocate, maybe send some letters to your legislators just to show support if you guys are interested in that. Also, Georgia, their governor signed their general appropriations bill earlier this week. Unfortunately, the governor did remove the 2.2 million additional programs for the additional programs and administrative support to manage the national 988 hotlines. But they did leave in the 6 million for mobile crisis and the 23 million for the expand and enhanced behavioral health crisis centers for FY24. So hopefully, maybe next year we can see some more funding for 988 in the Georgia budget. For New York, the governor also passed their budget, which included $1 billion in funding for their Office of Mental Health, which was basically provides services, improvement and expansion for a number of services in New York. So housing, expanding children's mental health. There was an increase in the COLA to support their mental health service workforce, and a lot more if anyone is interested in kind of hearing some of that. I see Meryl has her hand up. So I know that that was a really big package for New York, and still kind of reviewing everything from that front. Also, another exciting news, Indiana also SB1 passed, which implements 988 and it sets up an Indiana Behavioral Health Commission and also passed HB 1001 passed, which included 100 million for community mental health, including CCBHCs and crisis response centers. So a lot of exciting things happening in the state level. We have Maryland's governor also signed SB3 into law, which provided 12 million for 988 funds. And I think that's it. Minnesota actually had an ambiguous bill for HHS budget bill, which included 988 telecom with a 25 cents fee, and is currently with special conference committee for consideration. So a lot of stuff happening in the states and federal this month, as a lot of sessions are closing up. So we are kind of monitoring a lot of things that are happening and, kind of trying to stay updated with everything. So I see Meryl has her hand up. I don't know if you want to go to Meryl.
Yeah, Meryl.
Yeah, thanks, Shelley. Those are a lot of great updates. My question was actually unrelated to legislation, but don't worry, I know where to find you to find out more about New York State and the $1 billion you mentioned.
Yeah.
I was just curious about, Megan, in the chat, there are several messages about AI. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this meeting if you've already talked about this, but since I haven't been on one of these meetings in a while, I was just curious about your use of AI. That's exciting and also terrifying to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I'll just say thank you, Shelley, for giving us all of the updates. Feel free to turn off your camera if you would like. Yeah, I'm actually, I think maybe somebody else might be able to speak more to this, but I think that this is a specific Zoom thing where it allows, it's kind of like, it's just a note taker. So it allows whoever sets it up to receive like a transcript or like note taking from this meeting. I'm not sure if anybody else from Vibrant has used this and knows a little bit more about it.
Sure. This is Monique. I believe one of the AIs are Tom's. Tom is on the communications team. So he uses this for meetings that he can't attend. So it takes notes for him, and then he can then go through the notes at a later date. Like he used it for the webinar we had on Tuesday also, and he just mentioned that he was going through the notes earlier today because he wasn't able to make that meeting. So he's using it for note taking at this time. But I don't know why it keeps announcing itself, because it looks like it did it like twice or 3 times. But yes, that's what I know. Tom is using it. I don't know if someone else has an AI in here.
Right.
Oh, it
No,
does look
that's
like you're taking
helpful.
notes.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's taking over the world is what I'm thinking. But no, that sounds perfectly plausible. I was just wondering about it. Thank you.
No worries, Shy. It looks like
I was
you're
just
on.
going to clarify. So yeah, I mean, I think it's something we probably need to talk about a little bit internally, but wanted to mention that you're seeing it from a couple different people who've been invited to the meeting, but because our invite list is so large, so it's broken into 2 different invitations, and some of our staff are invited to both. So you're seeing multiple people who have 2 invites on their calendar. So because of the breakdown in groups, then have 2 note takers show up, even though there's really only 1 person. And then the note taker is announcing itself to make sure you know that there's notes being taken twice. So it's a little overkill today. So I think that we have some things to talk about in terms of how to make that a little bit less intrusive on the process. But that's partly why you're seeing Analia in there twice, or Tom in there twice. So, and make it, and the note taker announcing itself twice. Not ideal. So, but it's a good eye that you noticed it. And I think it's worthy that we make sure that you know kind of what's happening. Those are all internal Vibrant staff. So who've been invited to the meeting and want to make sure that either they can't be there and notes are being taken, or that they are here, but still are using this as a trial for notes. Thanks, Meryl.
Yeah, thanks so much for bringing that up. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, someone's spying? So I appreciate you bringing that up. I bet other people had that question as well. And then thank you, Shy and Monique, for filling in informational gaps. Alrighty, we will pass it over to Bo to give us some operations announcements.
Hi, everyone. Bo Pinkham, Director of Contracts here for today's office hours. It's a pleasure to join you. Just wanted to give you a brief update that today is the final submission date for your proposals for the RFPs that we have put out. As a reminder, those are the Spanish chat and text and the LGBTQI plus phones and phones and chat and text RFPs that we have out on our Network Resource Center and in various emails. By the end of the office hours, I will try to put some direct links in the chat as well. But you have till today to submit your proposal. So if you have not yet, you can email my contracts team and we will see if we can help you along. As a reminder to all of you who are submitting proposals, because some of our submissions are required to be on our submittable platform, which wasn't given to you until earlier this week, a bit delayed. The budget and the risk assessment application portion of those on submittable are not due until the 17th of next week, which is Wednesday. So keep that in mind. And I believe that's it for my end of operations. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much, Bo. Alrighty, and then we will pass it over to VCL, and I think Gretchen will give us an update.
Actually, it's Jennifer.
I feel like I mess it up each time. I'm sorry.
Absolutely okay. Gretchen makes me do this. So no, just kidding. Welcome everybody. Happy Friday. Just a quick update from the Veterans Crisis Line team with Vibrant. Gretchen and I have been sending out invitations to any of the newer 988 Lifeline centers that maybe in the last year, 2 years, that perhaps were not onboarded onto the Veterans Amendment when they onboarded with Vibrant. We're also sending out an invitation to any of our Tier 1 centers. This whole open house is voluntary, and it's just an informational meeting to learn more about the Veterans Amendment and how you can help us capture all the data related to veterans and their families for the VA and the VCL team that we work with. This date is going to be on May 24th. It is 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if you have not received the invitation and would like to be invited or participate, please check the chat. Gretchen's going to put our emails in there, and you can go ahead and reach out to me, and I'll make sure that you get that information. We are encouraging as many centers that are not on the veteran amendment to please at least join the open house to get that information. We will also have representatives from the VA there to answer specific questions as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Also, I do want to just pause and ask Bert, are you okay? I know normally you have someone else to switch off. And so I just want to make sure that you can continue signing, or if you would like to pause and take a break.
Oh, you don't have to pause for me, but I'm hoping someone will show up soon because I am off work now.
Yeah, I know. That's why I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
check in. I do understand if you need to go because your shift did end. So I want you to feel okay to leave if you need to.
Okay, I can wait until the bottom of the hour.
Megan,
Okay.
maybe we can also clarify in the chat if there's anyone who is with us who is using the service. So because we also may have a situation where no one's using birth services right now. So if someone is using birth services, chime in the chat, and then we'll know if we need to try extra hard to get a replacement. Or if no one's using the service, then maybe we can let Bert be done with his workday.
Also feel free to message
Thank
me
you so much.
privately if that makes you feel more comfortable, if anyone needs Bert. Okay, it doesn't seem like anybody has communicated that. So Bert, you do what makes you feel comfortable. I just want to make sure. I know your workday is over and I just want to respect that and respect your time.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think I'll drop off if no one's using ASL interpreter services.
Okay, thank you so much, Bert. I
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bert.
Thank you.
Alrighty, just wanted to make sure we were respecting his time and his hands and his effort and energy. So I apologize for that pause, but we will pass it over to Shai now to give us all the wonderful updates for STP.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it, Megan. All right, just moving back to the agenda. So we have a few different team members who have some updates from our standards training and practices division so that we want to share with you. So the first person I want to tee up is Taylor Funky. So you may be familiar with Taylor from her role in our clinical technologies division, and our Lifeline crisis chat and text work. But she switched roles into our clinical standards team. She's now the manager of that team. And she has some updates for you about our suicide safety implementation, our suicide safety policy implementation. So Taylor, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Shai. Good to see everybody here today. As you all may remember, back in December, we released the suicide safety policy. And since then, the clinical standards team has been working with folks to get this implementation rolling out. There was an informative webinar back in January, and then in February, we've started to work with a cohort of centers to get them through this process. So this is just kind of your friendly reminder to let you know that if you have not heard from our clinical standards team, we will be reaching out with you to you within the next few months or sometime in 2023 to continue that work with you on the suicide safety policy implementation. In the chat, I'll go ahead and put that suicide safety policy in there for review, as well as our email address should you have any questions, as well as the link to that webinar that was released back in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. So definitely,
Okay.
everyone take a look at that link if you haven't seen it. So we're definitely expecting centers to be working towards the goal of implementing all aspects of that policy, much of which will be familiar to you from our previous risk assessment standards and imminent risk policies. So with some differences that were again outlined in that webinar. So head to our webinars page if you need to review that or missed it, and begin to work towards that until the clinical standards team is in contact with you around providing additional technical assistance to implement it. Don't hesitate to ask us questions. If you have them while you are working towards those goals, you can reach out to us through your center engagement manager or our Ask STP at vibrant.org email. I also want to pull up George Barker next to transition and talk about some of our resource spotlights for this month. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Shai. Hello, everyone. It's good to be with you again. George Barker, Coordinator of Clinical Best Practices, focusing on training integration. Just want to speak to you all about the second installment of our new segment called the Resource Spotlight. Over the next several months, we're going to be highlighting some specific content areas and kind of opening up the forum to discuss the importance of those topics. This month, Lifeline will be spotlighting our existing resources for the LGBTQIA+ community that can be found on the Network Resource Center. Guidance documents, webinars are available to provide additional training, cultural competency, and integration into crisis work at your centers. We hope that you'll join us at the May Training Corner, which is next Thursday, May 18th at 3 p.m., where my colleague, Miranda Del Vecchio, and myself will discuss some specific resources more in depth. We hope to see you all next week. Thank you, Shai.
Thank you, George. And I realize I have it in a slightly opposite order. But I'm going to call just because you made such a nice transition. So to talk about the upcoming training corner. So where the resource spotlights are going to be talked about a little bit more in depth, but also our main topic of the month. I'm just going to ask if Catherine can come on now and talk about that. Surprise.
Yes, thank you, Shai. Of course. Thank you, George, for leading to that. Yes, it is happening next week on Thursday, May 18th, 2 p.m. EST. And we have the clinical technologies team and the LMS team, training and development, joining us to speak on the training on chat and text, crisis conversations on chat and text. And they will dive into how the training was created. They will discuss elements within the training, go more specific into the modules, and ideas on how to integrate this training into your current training courses. So please do join us. And as always, I will share the link in the for our NRC if you want to watch our previous recordings. Thank you. Happy Friday.
Thanks, Catherine. I can't stress enough how helpful the training corner meetings. So meetings, webinars, they're working groups, right? So where you're learning a lot of information about how to bring some of the Lifeline's resources into your own training and how to integrate them with your training and give wonderful guidance. So from our various teams, they're a little bit of a hidden gem. So we would love to see greater participation. So make sure to check out what's already been talked about as a teaser to help you see how they could be useful in guiding your local training. They put a lot of work into it, and there's a lot of great information and great sharing between centers and Lifeline staff in those sessions. Let's go next to a new resource that we have available. I switched the order on these. But we do have a new resource available that we want to make you all aware of so that you can share them with your frontline crisis counselors and take advantage of this additional guidance. So I'm going to call on Jess Ordonez to talk about that a little bit more.
Thank you, Shai. Hello, everyone. Jess Ordonez, Coordinator, Clinical Best Practices. Happy to be here with you today. We have an exciting new document titled Responding to Angry Expressions During Crisis Conversations. If I may share my screen, I want to show you how to locate that. This is a document that will support your crisis counselors if and when they have a call or text or chatter that is displaying angry expressions. So log on to the NRC, scroll down, and you'll find it here. But there's also a handy dandy hitting Command F, and you could type in a keyword like angry, and it'll pull it right up for you. So I want to share this document with you all on how you can have this conversation with your crisis counselors, how to best support them. And most of all, it's for crisis counselors to learn how to manage their own feelings, their own emotions, because, hey, our crisis counselors are human too. And we respect and admire all the hard work they're doing. And we also just want to give them a safe space where they can also be cognizant of how they're feeling when someone is displaying angry expressions. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please email us, and we're here always to support you all. Thank you, Shai.
Thank you very much, Jess. Appreciate that. Appreciate your hard work and other team members, so that supported the development of that document. We hope that centers are able to take advantage of that. Make sure that your frontline crisis counselors are aware of it, incorporate it into in-service training or other aspects. If you are someone who comes into the Network Resource Center and then downloads documents, just make sure you're always going back to the Network Resource Center, every 6 months or so, to make sure you have the most recent update. So you'll see that all of our resources have an updated date in the corner. So we're also starting to add publication dates, so you'll know like when it originated as well as when it was most recently updated. And you should always be double checking for that if you download any information from the Network Resource Center, to make sure that you're coming back. All of our documents are living documents. As we learn new things, we add new things, so we expand, we improve. And so we want you always having access to the most up-to-date information that we have. I have 2 final reminders that I'm going to make myself that from our STP team that I wanted to talk about. One is I just want to remind folks that we have with Lifeline contacts, so we have a policy so that they cannot be blocked by the center. So if you have difficulty with an abusive or harassing contact, or someone who is overusing the service in some way, so we don't want you blocking them at your level without consultation with the Lifeline's clinical best practices team. So, and then we want to make sure that we're working through solutions with you collaboratively. It's really important that as the 988 service, not have centers so just a wholesale like taking phone numbers and blocking them off, even when there's been abusive behavior. Now, that does not mean we do not want, we want you to be just accepting of all abusive behavior. We absolutely don't. So we want you to be taking advantage of the guidance that's in our abusive and harassing callers guidance document. So that lays out a whole bunch of different steps that you can take, including collaboration with our team when there is difficulty, to look at any potential management techniques, as well as to look at interventions that we may be able to offer from our side. So just want to be careful. So don't ever just set out a block. So always bring that to our clinical best practices team. I'm going to have Megan post in the chat the best ways to reach out about that. So, and again, you can always go through your center engagement manager. You can always go through the Ask STP email box. So, but we want you reaching out to us to collaborate when you are having those difficulties. We do not want you to endure them on your own. We want to support you, and there may be other solutions that we could bring to bear. That being said, again, just please don't block folks. Please don't forward certain phone callers to a voicemail. Any of those interventions should be done in collaboration with the Lifeline, and then any interventions that happen that aren't clinical in nature, so should be done in collaboration with our team as well. So just reach out to us if you ever have any of those kinds of situations. We certainly don't want to jeopardize the safety or well-being of any crisis counselors from abusive behavior, but we also want to make sure that we are abiding by our guidelines to keep the lines open to folks and are aware of any situations that are high level enough that we need to take some other kind of action. I hope that makes sense. But if it didn't make sense, or if you have follow-up questions about it, please do reach out to us, and we will try to clear up any specific situations or questions that you have. Then the last thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, I've reminded about it here in the past, but I'm going to keep reminding about it again. So it's just that about how to do center to center warm transfers. So there are occasions, especially due to our routing, so where you're going to be talking to folks who reach your 988 center, especially this is related to phones, so who reach the phone lines, who are outside of your service area. That's just the nature of the business. So partly it's due to routing, partly it could be due to the fact that maybe the person is calling about a third party who's located in a different my mom lives in Florida and I want to help her, but I'm here in California. Those kinds of situations come up. And when those come up, we want to just make sure folks are well aware that one, we want folks to be not screening folks out right at the very beginning. So we don't want you to do geographic screening at the beginning of your conversations. So to find out where someone is and then say, we can't help you, we're going to transfer you to the center that can. So if a person in crisis reaches your center, so we want you to de-escalate that crisis. We want you to help that person with their problem. We want people not to feel like they've reached a wrong door and that they should have done something differently. So we want them to be able to get the help that they need. So to de-escalate their immediate crisis right away, that's not location specific. However, when we get to the part of the conversation where we need to do resources, referrals, connections, mobile crisis team, where it takes the knowledge of the community. So in order to be able to provide service, that's when we want you to do that warm transfer process. And when we want you to warm transfer, please don't go out Googling a center. So don't go out looking even at the Lifeline's public website, where there's a map that shows where some of the crisis centers are that are part of our network. Please don't use that. We have a much easier, much more simple, and much more guaranteed to get you where you need to be processed. So through our warm transfer procedures, those warm transfer procedures are located on the Network Resource Center. So you can click on them right from the homepage. You can also go into them through our practice guidelines page in depth. It's a long document, so we give you some hyperlinks to try to make it easier to get to the right parts. We want administrators, trainers, supervisors to have read all the pages of the document that kind of goes into the wheres and the why fors, which is not a word, but that's my word for Friday, why for. So goes into all of the details as to why we have these procedures in place and what purpose they serve. So, but then there's also links straight to the operational page for frontline crisis counselors to use when they do need to make those warm transfers. So I want to also ask if you could go back to your centers and differentiate, help them understand the difference between what a warm transfer is and a cold transfer. A cold transfer is when you're just sort of pushing somebody through the phone number into another center's queue, or into another organization's sort of queue without you being there. A warm transfer is the best practice for continuity of care, which is it can be through the conference call feature on your phone system, any system where that's allowing your crisis counselor to introduce the person in crisis to the next person in the continuum of care, whether that's another crisis center or whether you're helping them to connect with a local referral, any of those kinds of things. A warm transfer means, so there's a warm handoff. There's a handoff from the crisis counselor to the next person that's going to be providing service to the person in crisis. So just be careful about always trying to do a warm transfer, always using our warm transfer system. The warm transfer system that we have in place is really important. So because it provides an 800 number to reach any center within the Lifeline network. That's not a public number. Please don't give it out. That's just for centers use. It's a private number. There's also another one for reaching specifically to the VCL and another one for specifically reaching to the Spanish subnetwork. So, but once you have that 800 number, it allows you to enter the area code of the person that needs services. That's going to guarantee that you don't need to know any specific center's service territory, hours of operation, capacity. It also allows the backup network to continue to be part of this process. If the local center isn't available, it doesn't leave that person hanging without getting any kind of connection at all. And it allows you to input the person's telephone number, so that carries through the caller ID information. So instead of when you do a transfer just to a center's through your, if you look up the center's number on Google and do a transfer, the number that's going to show up on their caller ID is going to be your center's number, not the person who's seeking help. Whereas if you use the Lifeline's warm transfer procedure, then that number, you're going to input that caller ID information and it's going to carry over and appear in the caller ID to the receiving center in case things escalate and become emergent. We're not trying to send over emergent calls. We're trying to de-escalate and make sure they're not. So, but in the rare case that something escalates again and becomes emergent, that caller ID information is preserved. So those are some of the reasons that we want you to use that service. Second thing that I want to say about that, and I know I've just said like 20 things, but the second biggest point that I want to make about that is please don't refuse warm transfers from other centers. So we're starting to hear some things back from our complaints process and other meetings that we're having with centers, that when they are trying to follow the warm transfer procedures to help people get those local resources and referrals, that the other receiving center is saying we don't accept warm transfers. We need you to accept warm transfers, especially from your fellow 988 centers. So if there is a problem, where you feel it shouldn't have been transferred or it was transferred inappropriately, don't make that something that's the problem of the caller. So handle the call and then issue a complaint to us. So go through your network engagement manager. So go through our contact us page, whatever it is that you need to do to let us know that there's been a problem, and then we'll resolve that after the fact. But we don't want those problems where somebody is maybe doing something, misunderstanding the procedure, or something is going wrong. We don't want that to impact the person needing help. So if you get a warm transfer from a fellow Lifeline center, or you may have also seen our notification about our external partners who may also be wanting to warm transfer to the Lifeline. So please accept those warm transfers and then follow up with us if you feel there was a problem afterwards. So, but we don't want it to impact the people needing help. Last thing to be said about warm transfers is that we can't control who else warm transfers to you. So any other kind of organization may be able to make a warm transfer to 988 and may or may not be part of the organizations that are either internal to the Lifeline or have those external formal partnerships with us to do so. And again, we hope that you would have your crisis counselors instructed to accept transfers from people in crisis and to alert us if there are problems later that we can help you sort out from the national level. So that's a lot of information. We're going to be doing a little bit more education about warm transfers in the coming months because we realize that there's some confusion across the board about it. I'm just trying to give you the 10-minute spiel. So but I know that we have other topics to talk about today. So please do follow up with us if you have questions, because it is one of the things that can cause difficulties for people in crisis. So, we don't want there to be hard feelings between centers about that work. So we want to work through any questions or problems that you may have around it. Please feel free to reach out. And thank you for your time today about it. Megan, I know I took too long. I'm going to kick it back to you.
No worries. Thank you so much, Shai. Oh, that was really, really important information. So I appreciate you sharing. All right, we will send it over to Roxanne from the Strategy and Grant Management Department.
Hi, everybody. I think I introduced myself on a previous call, but as a reminder, I'm on the Strategy and Grants Management Department. I'm the program manager for 988 committees and external partnerships. So I did want to provide a quick update about committees. So as most of you know, committees were something that 988 has used for a long time in the past and really exist as a key feedback mechanism for us to make sure that service delivery and outreach are really in line with community needs. So I did want to share that interest forms for folks that would like to join committees will be going live this month. So if you would like to join one of our committees, please complete that on our website. The committees that we'll be relaunching are going to be our communications and marketing, standards, training and practices, a national steering committee for 988, a disaster distress helpline national steering committee. And one of the things that we are going to be rolling out with this new iteration of committees is ensuring that lived experience and equity and belonging professionals are going to be on all of the committees moving forward. So aside from those four, we are also going to be exploring establishing new committees as well. The first being our network engagement committee. So this is going to be really focused on developing relationships with the crisis centers and making sure that we can co-develop solutions for any of the questions or concerns that that crisis centers are identifying. So this is really meant to complement the work that the center engagement managers are already doing with you all. We want to, create another feedback mechanism so that we can co-develop solutions with you and also provide opportunities where centers can learn from one another. I think one of the things that we're hoping that this will do is kind of break down the silos and improve communication across all the centers and, be able to work with you all on that. So one of the things is that since this is a new committee, we would not only like to co-develop solutions with you, we also do want this to be an opportunity for you to provide your input as we are developing and launching this new committee. So one of the things that I would like to do is host feedback sessions next week. So before I schedule those, I just wanted to get a sense of when would be the best time for you all. So if Monique could launch a quick poll, I just wanted to see what time of day is best for you all. And when you're responding to this, these are all in EST. So I know we're all the centers are spread throughout the country. So as you're submitting your responses, please be mindful that this is an EST. And if these times don't work, or if you'd like to set up a one-on-one meeting or anything like that, I'm definitely available and I can drop my email in the chat if you have any questions about any of the committees, including the network engagement one. So yeah, if you could just provide your availability, and I can set up those open feedback sessions and learn a little bit more from you about what you'd like to see this committee accomplish, and what you'd like the key focuses of it to be for this grant year. So thank you, Megan.
Can you see the poll? Can anyone see the poll?
Yes, I can see it up. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Roxanne. Okay, and then last but not least, Alicia, to wrap it up for us and give us some updates for the CARES team.
Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Alicia. I'm the program manager for 988 Lifeline Cares team, and Laura just popped on, who is our new director. So I will hand it over to her to say hello.
Thank you. I just wanted to say hi. I'm Laura Handler, the director of the 988 Cares team, as Alicia just let you all know, and I'm very excited to be joining and working with you all. So thank you.
Awesome. And I just want to give a reminder that today at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have our wellness offering, Deep Listening and Meditation, available. And our first session was actually on Monday. So I hope that some of you were able to come out and experience it. It's really an opportunity where Chris Balsley takes us through some practices where we can learn to both listen to ourselves more intently and to each other, whether that's our coworkers, our family, our friends. And it really has wellness benefits for us when we listen more, because we can cultivate more trust with each other. We can cultivate deeper relationships, more understanding, and we can reduce miscommunication, which we know is one of those things that can lead to burnout. So deep listening is great for a number of reasons. And then on the other side of that, we all like to be heard when we're expressing ourselves. It helps us to feel better. And there's meditation as well. So just a reminder about that. And I also want to note that the session following that will be Friday, June 9th at 4 p.m. And I'll put that in the chat. Also want to remind about the wellness-based debriefing sessions. We have 2 sessions next week on Tuesday, May 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Thursday, May 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm also going to put a link in the chat to our wellness offerings NRC page, because there's a lot of dates and times that will occur over the next year or so, and just want everybody to be able to see the dates and the times. If you follow that link, they will be posted. And I wanted to say that for the for the wellness-based debriefing sessions, if you have other dates that are still on your calendar from previous sessions that we've done, that are not a part of our new calendar, please do go ahead and delete those. We have had some people who have said to us that they have joined and haven't seen anyone in those sessions, and that is because we've had previous sessions that we have changed dates for. Again, we're really working to make sure that the dates are available for a wide variety of people to keep things equitable, and so we've changed dates to make sure that people who could not previously come to sessions can make these sessions. And on that note, I just want to thank everybody who has filled out the survey for the hours of wellness that are best suited for your centers in the evenings, nights, and weekends. We do have the feedback, and we are taking a look at when the best time is for most people, so that in the future we can give more offerings for our evening and overnight staff. And if anyone has any wellness questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Laura. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining today and hearing our updates from Vibrant. I hope you all have a great Friday and a great rest of the weekend. And to those that are mothers, happy Mother's Day. And we'll see you guys next month. Bye, everybody.